Welcome back. We are doing something a little different today. We're taking a massive stack of research notes and one incredibly dense conversation between two heavyweights in the scientific community.
Yeah, this one was a big one.
It was. And we're going to try to solve a problem that I think every single person listening, and certainly the two of us, struggle with.
It's the universal struggle.
It is.
Yeah.
I'm talking about that feeling when you wake up, on a Saturday morning, or maybe it's a Tuesday, and you have this list. You have the ideal you list.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to hit the gym. You're going to learn Spanish. You're finally going to organize the garage. You feel like you could conquer the world. And then fast forward 2 hours.
And you are horizontal on the couch.
Physically stuck.
Yeah.
And it's not just that you didn't do the things. It's that the very idea of moving feels impossible.
Right.
We usually call this laziness. We beat ourselves up. We say, I just have no willpower. But what if I told you that willpower and motivation aren't these vague spiritual character traits? What if they are biological resources that, follow the laws of physics?
That is the premise of today's deep dive. We are looking at the neurobiology of drive. And to do that, we're breaking down a landmark conversation between Dr. Rhonda Patrick and Dr. Andrew Huberman.
The Avengers of Science Communication.
Truly. You've got Dr. Patrick, who runs Found My Fitness. She's a pioneer in nutritional science, longevity, all of that.
She makes incredibly complex stuff make sense.
And then you have Dr. Huberman, who is, of course, a professor of neurobiology at Stanford, who has fundamentally changed how the public understands the brain.
So when these two get together, they don't just chat. They go deep into the mechanics of why we do what we do.
Exactly. And the star of the show today is a molecule that everyone thinks they know, but almost everyone gets wrong.
Dopamine.
It is the most misunderstood molecule in the human body.
Okay, let's start right there. Because when I hear dopamine, I think party,
Yeah.
Eat the chocolate cake, get a hit of dopamine. Scroll on Instagram, get a hit of dopamine.
Yeah, the pleasure chemical.
It's the pleasure chemical, right? That's the common wisdom.
And that common wisdom is almost entirely wrong. Or at least it's dangerously incomplete. Huberman makes this point very, very early in the source material.
What does he say?
He says, dopamine is not the molecule of pleasure. It is not the molecule of enjoyment.
So it's not the, that tastes good feeling.
No, that's more the opioid system. That's endocannabinoids. Dopamine is about craving. It is the molecule of pursuit.
Pursue.
It is not about having the thing. It is about the drive to get the thing. It is the friction, the yearning, the movement.
Wow. Okay, that is a massive distinction. So dopamine isn't the reward waiting for you at the finish line.
Yeah.
It's the fuel in the tank that gets you to the finish line.
That's a perfect way to put it. Exactly. And understanding this, it changes everything about how we view addiction, motivation, burnout, all of it.
So before we get into the tools, and we have a lot of tools today, from ice baths to light exposure, we have to understand the machinery.
We have to.
Huberman starts by correcting a term. We usually call dopamine a neurotransmitter. He corrects this to neuromodulator.
Yeah, he was very specific on that.
I caught that. I usually gloss over the jargon, but he was pretty insistent. So is this just, academic hair splitting, or does it actually matter for us?
It matters a huge amount. Think of it this way. A neurotransmitter like glutamate or GABA is involved in local communication.
Okay.
Imagine two people sitting at a tiny table in a massive football stadium having a quiet conversation. Neuron A hands a little note to neuron B.
Okay, so it's a private chat. It's one-to-one.
It's specific, it's local, it's one-to-one. That's a neurotransmitter.
Right.
Now, imagine a neuromodulator like dopamine. Dopamine is not a private chat. Dopamine is the stadium sound system.
Ah.
It's 10 massive speakers blasting music over the entire crowd. It doesn't tell neuron A what to say to neuron B specifically.
But it changes the mood of the entire stadium.
Yes. I love that analogy. So if the speakers start blasting heavy metal, the conversations at all the little tables are going to change. They're going to get more agitated.
And if they play a funeral dirge, the conversations change again. Everyone gets quiet.
Precisely. Dopamine sets the genre of your neural activity. It changes the probability that certain circuits will fire. And the genre that dopamine selects is go. It's seek, it's move. When the dopamine speakers are loud, the brain is primed for action. When the speakers are off, well, that's where we get to the rats.
The rats. This experiment it's haunting. I feel like we need to really paint the picture here because this is the bedrock of understanding why we get stuck on the couch.
It is a classic experiment, and it's brutal, but it's so informative. So you take two groups of rats.
Okay.
Group A is your standard lab rat, your control group. You give them a lever. If they press the lever, a pellet of food comes out.
Simple enough. Work equals reward.
They press, they eat, they're happy. Easy.
No.
Then you have Group B. In Group B, the scientists have chemically ablated, meaning they have destroyed the neurons that produce dopamine.
So these rats have zero dopamine in their system.
None. Now, here's the question. If you give them food, do they like it?
Well, based on what you just said, if dopamine is motivation and not pleasure, they should still like it.
Correct.
Yep.
You got it. If you take a piece of chow and put it directly into the rat's mouth, it will chew, swallow, and it will show all the facial signs of enjoyment. The pleasure system is perfectly intact.
Okay, so they can enjoy life. They can experience pleasure.
They can enjoy consumption. But here is the catch. This is the part that gets me.
What's that?
If you take that piece of food and move it just one body length away, literally just a few inches from their nose, the rat will starve to death.
Wait, let's pause there. The rat is not paralyzed. It physically can walk.
Physically, its muscles work fine, its motor cortex is fine, it sees the food, it smells the food, it knows it is hungry.
But it just won't move.
It lacks the chemical bridge to convert I want that into I will move towards that.
That is terrifying. It's literally, I can't be bothered to live.
That is what low dopamine looks like. It's not sadness, necessarily. It's apathy. It is the inability to bridge the gap between where you are and where you want to be.
And this matters for us because we can, through our habits, put ourselves in a state that mimics those rats.
To some degree, yes. We are all managing our own dopamine levels, whether we know it or not.
Which brings us to the wave pool. This is the central metaphor of this deep dive. And I have to say, Huberman credits this to Dr. Kyle Gillette. I found this visual so helpful for understanding my own energy levels.
It's brilliant because it's based in physics. So imagine your motivation system is a wave pool at a water park.
Okay.
The water level in the pool represents your baseline dopamine. This is your resting state. When you wake up, are you generally excited about the day or are you dragging? That's your baseline.
And the waves.
The waves are the peaks. These are the spikes in dopamine you get from stimuli. Eating a pizza, checking your phone and seeing a like, buying a new pair of shoes, taking a shot of tequila.
Anything that gives you a little rush.
Any rush. These create a wave that rises above the baseline.
Okay, so we want waves.
Right.
Waves feel good. That's the motivation.
We want waves, yes. We need them. But here is the fundamental rule of the wave pool. What goes up must come down. Every peak is followed by a trough. And the trough isn't just a return to normal, it is a dip below your baseline.
This is the crash, the hangover, the feeling the next day.
It's the crash. And here's the critical dynamic that Huberman emphasizes. The height and the speed of the peak determines the depth and duration of the trough.
So the bigger the party, the worse the hangover.
Exactly. If you have a massive, unnatural spike in dopamine, let's say from a drug like methamphetamine, which he mentions causes a 1,000-fold increase over baseline.
1,000-fold.
1,000 times. That the crash that follows is a bottomless pit of apathy and despair.
But most of us aren't doing meth. We're just living modern lives.
But look at how we live. Huberman talks about stacking dopamine. Think about a teenager or an adult, honestly, getting ready to work out or play a video game. Okay.
They don't just do the activity. They drink a massive energy drink. That's a caffeine spike. They put in nicotine pouches. That's a nicotine spike. They blast high-intensity music, an auditory spike. Then they play a video game that is engineered to be hyper-stimulating.
They are creating a tidal wave in the pool.
Exactly. They are stacking peaks on top of peaks. And in the analogy, when you create a wave that huge, water splashes out of the pool.
Oh, I see. So you actually lose volume. You're not just creating waves, you're draining the pool itself.
You lose volume. The baseline drops. So when the waves settle, your new normal is lower than it was before.
You feel flatter.
You feel less motivated. And what do you do when you feel low?
You reach for the thing that gave you the spike. You need another wave just to feel normal.
And that is the cycle of addiction. But even without addiction, it's the cycle of burnout. We are splashing all our dopamine out of the pool on cheap thrills, social media, sugar, distractions, and then we wonder why we can't focus on a spreadsheet. This explains something that has always bugged me. Why is it that when I spend a weekend binge-watching Netflix and eating junk food, which is supposed to be relaxing.
Mhm.
I feel absolutely terrible on Monday. I should be rested.
You aren't rested, you're depleted.
Depleted.
You spent 2 days spiking your dopamine with passive consumption. You splash the water out, so on Monday, your baseline is low. And this leads to the concept of boring.
Right.
Huberman points out that the brain doesn't really have a sensor for boring.
What do you mean? Boredom feels very real. It's painful.
It is, but it's relative. Boredom is simply the comparison between the dopamine you were just feeling and the dopamine you are feeling now.
So it's the steepness of the drop.
Exactly. If you just came off a 2-hour high-intensity video game session, reading a book feels painfully boring. It's not that the book is bad, it's that the drop in dopamine is steep. If you had spent the last hour staring at a wall, that book would feel thrilling.
That's a huge insight. So boring is just a dopamine hangover.
Essentially, yes, it's a withdrawal symptom from a higher state.
There's one more physics rule here that we need to touch on before we get to the solutions. Reward prediction error. This sounds like a computer glitch, but it's actually how we learn.
This is crucial for anyone who is ambitious, anyone trying to achieve big goals.
Because we tend to think we get dopamine when we achieve the goal. You
Right.
cross the finish line, you get the medal, boom, dopamine hit.
Right, the victory lap.
Yeah.
But that's not really how it works. Dopamine is released en route to the reward. It is the anticipation. It is the feeling of, I am on the right path, or I am going to get it.
So the night before Christmas is better than Christmas morning.
Biologically, often, yes. The craving is stronger than the having. But here is where it gets tricky. Let's say you are working on a massive project.
Cool.
You tell yourself, when I launch this, it is going to be huge, I'm going to be famous, I'm going to be rich. You are building up a massive expectation.
You're pre-spending the dopamine. You're fantasizing.
You're taking out a dopamine loan.
Yeah.
Now, launch day comes, it goes, yeah, okay, it's a good launch, but it's not world-changing.
It's not what you fantasized about in your head.
Exactly. The brain calculates the difference. Reality minus expectation. Since reality was less than expectation, your dopamine actually drops.
Below baseline.
Below baseline, you crash. You feel depressed. Even though you succeeded?
That is wild. You can win and still feel like a loser because you over-anticipated the reward.
That is reward prediction error. And Huberman's advice here is very stoic. He says we have to be very careful about attaching our motivation to the outcome.
Because the outcome is never fully in our control.
Right. If you are only driven by the fantasy of the finish line, you are setting yourself up for a crash.
So how do we fix this? If the wave pool is leaking and we're crashing from our own expectations, how do we rebuild? This brings us to section 3, and a phrase I have written in all caps in my notes. Loving the friction.
This is the shift. This is the mental pivot that changes the whole game.
We have to talk about limbic friction because I feel this every single day. It's that moment where you need to sit down and write or get in the car to go to the gym and your whole body just goes, no.
Ugh, yes.
It's a physical resistance. It feels like gravity has increased just on you.
Yes. And I usually interpret that feeling as something is wrong. I think maybe I'm tired, maybe I'm not inspired today, maybe I should wait for a better mood.
We all do that.
And Huberman says that is the exact wrong interpretation. He reframes limbic friction not as a stop sign, but as the gate to neuroplasticity.
Explain that. How is feeling awful a good sign?
Neuroplasticity is the brain's ability to change, to learn new things, to build new habits. For an adult brain to change, it's actually really hard. It needs a chemical trigger.
A wake-up call.
A literal wake-up call. It needs a cocktail of norepinephrine and epinephrine.
Adrenaline.
Adrenaline.
Right.
That feeling of agitation, of alertness, of I don't want to be here, that is chemically identical to the signal that tells the brain, wake up, pay attention, we need to adapt right now. That friction is the feeling of your brain shifting gears.
So if it feels easy, you aren't learning. You're not growing.
If it feels easy, you are just executing what you already know. You are running on autopilot. To expand your capacity, you must feel the friction.
And there is a specific brain area involved here that I had never heard of before, but now I'm obsessed with it. The aMCC.
The anterior mid-cingulate cortex. This is shaping up to be the most important brain structure for high performance, for resilience, for everything. Huberman calls it the willpower muscle.
And it really acts like a muscle, right? You can grow or shrink.
It does. It literally does. They've done studies on superagers, people who are in their 70s and 80s but still have the cognitive sharpness of a 25-year-old.
Yeah, they're amazing.
In these people, the aMCC is huge. It maintains its thickness. But in people who are depressed or apathetic or suffering from rapid aging, This area is atrophied. It shrinks.
Use it or lose it.
Literally.
Right.
But here's the catch, and this is the part that made me laugh out loud because it's so, so rude.
What is it?
You cannot grow the aMCC by doing things you like.
Of course not. It's too easy.
If you love running and you go for a run, your aMCC does not grow. If you love ice baths and you take an ice bath, no growth. It only grows when you do something you do not want to do.
It's the biological seat of overcoming resistance.
That's the Persync description for it.
That is profound. So the value isn't just in the activity itself, like the exercise is good for your heart, but the act of forcing yourself to do it is structural engineering for your brain.
Yes. You are building the machinery of drive itself.
So how do we do this without just being miserable all the time? I mean, who wants to live a life of only doing things they hate? Huberman talks about subjective reframing.
This is the hack. This is how you make it work. When you are in that moment of friction, when you are staring at the blank screen and you want to quit, you have an internal monologue.
Oh, yeah.
Usually it's complaining, this is hard, this sucks, I'm no good at this.
I'd rather be sleeping.
Right. Huberman suggests you intervene in that monologue. You explicitly tell yourself, this pain I am feeling, this agitation, this is the feeling of my brain growing. This is the friction that releases dopamine.
It sounds a little bit like lying to yourself.
What is it? It's not lying if it's true, and the science supports it. You are reassociating the sensation of pain with the sensation of progress.
Okay.
And he cites the work of Carol Dweck on growth mindset. This belief, this internal story, actually triggers a release of dopamine during the struggle.
So you are refilling the wave pool while you work. You're not just waiting for the end.
Yes. You are moving the reward from the outcome, the noun, getting the grade, to the process, the verb, the studying.
Reward the verb, not the noun. I love that.
If you can learn to spike dopamine on the effort itself, you become unstoppable because the effort is entirely under your control. The outcome isn't.
Okay, so that's the mindset. I love the friction. This is good for me. I am building my aMCC. Now let's get practical. Section 4 is the toolkit. How do we physically manipulate this system?
Behavioral interventions.
And we have to start with the most famous Huberman tool of all. The cold.
The ice bath. Or the cold shower for those of us who are less brave.
I have to admit, I hate the cold. I am a warm-blooded creature. I avoid it at all costs. But after listening to this, I understand why he pushes it so hard. It's not just macho posturing.
No, the neurochemistry is just undeniable. When you submerge yourself in cold water, uncomfortably cold, your body releases a massive cocktail of neurochemicals.
Sure.
Dopamine, epinephrine, norepinephrine. It's a huge release.
And how big of a release are we talking about, like compared to coffee?
Way bigger. We're talking a 250% increase in dopamine over baseline. That is comparable to the rise you see from cocaine.
Whoa, okay. But cocaine ruins your life.
Yeah.
Why is the ice bath good for you?
Because of the shape of the curve, this is the key. Drugs like cocaine cause a sharp, jagged peak followed by a brutal crash.
Right, the wave splashes out of the pool.
Cold exposure creates a long, sustained arc. The dopamine rises, and it stays elevated for hours after you get out. It gives you this calm, laser-focused energy without the jitteriness and, crucially, without the crash.
So you get the peak without the trough.
Or at least a much, much shallower trough.
But you have to actually stay in. And Huberman gave a protocol called counting walls that I thought was really helpful for the mental game.
Yeah, this is great because the mental side is the whole point. He says, don't obsess over the stopwatch. Don't say, I must do 3 minutes. Instead, count the walls.
What's a wall?
A wall is that moment your entire nervous system screams, get out. This is a bad idea. We are dying.
I know that feeling.
So you step in. Shock. That's wall. #1. You breathe, you calm yourself, you overcome it, you settle in. 30 seconds later, you feel the pain in your skin. Get out now. That's wall #2.
So the workout is climbing the walls.
Exactly. It's resistance training for your impulse control, for your aMCC. If you can climb 3 or 4 walls in the ice bath, you are training that part of your brain to stay calm under stress. And that transfers.
To a stressful meeting or your kids screaming.
Exactly. You recognize the wall, the feeling of panic, and you know you can breathe and climb over it.
It's stress inoculation.
Precisely.
Next tool, exercise.
But
But specifically, exercise as entrainment. This was a new word for me in this context.
Entrainment just means synchronization. Our bodies are rhythm machines. They love schedules.
Okay.
Huberman says if you exercise at roughly the same time of day for just 3 to 7 days, your body anticipates it. It learns.
And it learns the schedule, so it gets ready.
It does. It will start releasing cortisol and epinephrine, those energy hormones, about 15 to 30 minutes before your scheduled workout.
Free energy. You don't even have to work for it.
It is free energy. It's the body revving the engine because it knows the race is coming. So consistency matters more than intensity for regulating your daily energy levels.
Speaking of intensity, he had a big warning here. Leave gas in the tank.
This is a huge one, especially for the type A personalities, the high achievers.
Guilty.
There is a tendency to think that every workout needs to be a failure point, vomit-inducing struggle. Huberman says no.
Why not? If friction is good, isn't maximum friction better?
Because dopamine is a finite resource within a given day. If you drain the tank completely in the gym at 7 a.m., if you push to absolute neural failure, you have no dopamine left for your job.
Or your family.
Or your relationships, or your focus. You've splashed all the water out of the pool for the day.
So what's his approach?
He shares his own routine. 3 resistance sessions, 1 sprint session, 1 long endurance session per week. But he says he rarely goes to 100% failure. He uses exercise to stimulate the system, not to annihilate it.
He wants to ride that wave of energy into his cognitive work.
Exactly. Exercise should give you energy for the day. It shouldn't take it all away.
That's a healthy reframe. But what if we were depleted? What if we didn't sleep or were just fried from work? He introduced a protocol called NSDR.
Non-sleep deep rest, also known as yoga nidra.
I've actually tried this based on his recommendation. It feels like a cheat code for your brain.
Describe it.
You basically just lie on the floor and listen to a guided script for 10 or 20 minutes. You don't fall asleep, but you kind of float. You're not really thinking.
You enter a liminal state. You are hovering between wakefulness and sleep. You consciously relax the body while keeping the mind vaguely aware.
And Dr. Patrick brought up a study from Denmark on this that blew my mind.
This was the mic drop moment for NSDR. This is where it went from a nice to have to a must do.
What did this study find?
This study showed that after 1 hour of yoga nidra, the participants showed a 60% increase in dopamine in the striatum.
The striatum is the part of the brain involved in motor planning and focus, right? The go part.
Yes. A 60% increase is massive. That is comparable to taking a stimulant like Ritalin.
And you haven't taken a drug. You've just laid on the floor and breathed.
You've just rested correctly.
So if you're crashing at 2 p.m., instead of chugging a coffee and jittering your way through the afternoon,
You do 10 minutes of NSDR.
and you refill the wave pool, it is the most efficient reset button available.
To think of biological power-up.
Let's move to section 5. We can't talk about Huberman without talking about light. It's his signature, the solar circuit.
It is the foundation of his entire biological worldview. He argues, and the data supports this, that light is the primary signal for our circadian clocks. It's the master switch.
And he's very, very specific. You need sunlight in your eyes within an hour of waking up, and not through a window.
The window part is key. He repeats this over and over. Windows filter out the specific UV wavelengths you need, and they scatter the light in a way that reduces its potency.
So what's the difference in power?
You could be sitting by a bright window and getting maybe 500 lux of light. You step outside, even on a cloudy day, and you're getting 10,000 to 50,000 lux. The scale is logarithmic. It's not even close.
So open the door, step onto the balcony, go for a walk. Why? What is happening in the eye?
It's about the solar angle. When the sun is low in the sky, morning and evening, there is a specific contrast between blue light and orangered light. This contrast hits specialized neurons in your retina called melanopsin ganglion cells.
Great name.
These cells are not for vision. They have one job, to tell time. They have a direct line to the master clock in your brain.
And they shout, "It is morning."
They do. And this triggers a healthy cortisol spike. Now, people hear cortisol and think stress, but a morning cortisol spike is vital. It wakes you up, it clears out brain fog, it boosts your immune system.
And it sets a timer, right?
It starts the countdown clock for melatonin. If you get that bright light in your eyes at 8 a.m., your body knows to release melatonin 16 hours later at midnight. If you miss the morning light, you miss the start gun for the sleep race.
So insomnia often starts in the morning, not at night.
Exactly. You have to get the morning right to get the night right.
He also talked about vision and anxiety. This is something listeners can try right now, wherever they are. Foveated versus panoramic vision.
This connects the eyes directly to your nervous system state. It's an incredible biohack.
So what is foveated vision?
When we are stressed or focused or threatened, our eyes converge. We focus on a single point, a phone screen, a predator, a spreadsheet. This is foveated vision.
It's tunnel vision.
Yes, and mechanically, this signals the brainstem to increase alertness and agitation. It turns on the stress response.
Which makes sense. If I'm staring at a threat, I need to be stressed.
But we spend all day staring at screens, so we are locking ourselves in a low-grade stress response for 8 hours a day. The antidote is panoramic vision,
Which is?
dilating your gaze. You can do it now. Don't move your eyes, but try to see the ceiling and the floor at the same time. Try to see the walls to your left and right. Soften your focus so you're taking in the whole room.
I'm doing it. It feels relaxing, like my shoulders just dropped an inch.
It mechanically engages the parasympathetic nervous system, the rest and digest mode. It is a physiological off switch for anxiety.
So if you're feeling overwhelmed at your desk,
Just go to a window and look at the horizon. Or just soften your gaze for 60 seconds. It instantly calms the brain.
that is a tool you can use anywhere. Okay, let's get into the danger zone. Section 6, pitfalls. We have to talk about the things we put in our bodies that wreck this delicate wave pool.
The antagonists, the things that drain the pool.
Let's start with the most popular drug in the world, caffeine.
Huberman loves caffeine, but he is extremely strict about the timing, he says. Delay intake for 90 to 120 minutes after waking.
Which is torture. I want my coffee the second my feet hit the floor. Why the delay?
It's all about a molecule called adenosine.
Right.
Adenosine builds up in your brain while you're awake. It's what makes you feel sleep pressure. When you sleep, you wash it away. But you never wash it all away.
So you wake up with a little leftover sleepiness.
Right. Now, caffeine doesn't remove adenosine. It just blocks the receptor. It's like putting tape over the lock so the key won't fit. You feel alert because the adenosine can't park and make you sleepy.
But the adenosine is still floating around in there.
It's still there, and it's building up. And if you drink coffee immediately, you block it. But then, around 2 p.m., the caffeine wears off, the tape comes off the lock, and all that adenosine that has been waiting all morning.
It crashes into the receptors all at once.
And that's the afternoon slump, the crash. If you wait 90 minutes, you allow your body to naturally clear out that morning adenosine before you put the caffeine in. You get the lift without the crash.
Well, I'll try. I promise nothing, but I'll try. Next one, nicotine. Huberman admitted to using nicotine gum for focus.
He did. He was very open about it. He treated it as a cognitive enhancer. Nicotine is a potent trigger for acetylcholine, which improves focus, and it also releases dopamine. It works.
But he stopped.
He stopped, and he was very clear about why. Vasoconstriction. Nicotine tightens your blood vessels. It reduces blood flow to the brain and other appendages.
Right.
He decided that the short-term focus wasn't worth the long-term cardiovascular cost and the risk to vascular health.
Plus, it's wildly addictive.
Extremely. One of the most addictive substances known.
Now for the hard one, alcohol. Dr. Patrick and Huberman were not pulling punches here.
No, they were very clear, and the data is increasingly clear. Alcohol is a poison. It is a solvent. It destroys cells on contact.
But we love a glass of wine to unwind. It's part of our culture.
And look, they aren't saying you can never drink. They're pragmatists. But they looked at the data. And the range where you probably avoid significant long-term damage is 0 to 2 drinks per week.
2 drinks a week, that's very low for a lot of people.
It is. But once you go beyond that, you start seeing cortical thinning.
What is cortical thinning? That sounds bad.
It's as bad as it sounds. Your gray matter shrinks. The thinking part of your brain physically atrophies. And specifically, alcohol completely destroys your sleep architecture.
But people say it helps them sleep. I need a nightcap to fall asleep.
It helps you pass out. Sedation is not sleep. Alcohol blocks REM sleep, the dreaming sleep where emotional processing and memory consolidation happen.
So you wake up feeling physically okay, maybe.
But your brain is unprocessed, your anxiety is higher, your baseline dopamine is lower. It is a net negative for mental health in almost every case.
Okay, message received. Final pitfall, the phone. Huberman used an analogy here that gave me chills. He compared the smartphone algorithm to a person with borderline personality disorder.
It's a powerful and disturbing comparison, but it's accurate.
Explain it.
Think about a relationship with someone who is unstable. 1 minute, they are love-bombing you. You're the best, you're beautiful, look at this cute puppy, look at this funny meme.
You feel great. You get a dopamine hit.
Then, a second later, they attack. Look at this war. Look at this political outrage. Look at this person who is richer and prettier than you. Look at this comment calling you an idiot.
You feel terrible. Your stress spikes.
And then right back to the puppy. Push, pull, push, pull. This unpredictability is the most addictive pattern in nature. It's called intermittent reinforcement.
It keeps you on the hook.
It keeps your dopamine system in a state of frantic overdrive. It's exhausting.
And depleting.
It's totally depleting. Huberman calls scrolling high engagement, low effort. It feels like you're doing something, but you aren't. You're just burning fuel. So when you put the phone down to do real work, your tank is empty.
You have no drive left for what actually matters.
None. His advice: play for time.
Treat it like hazardous material.
Yes. Set a timer. 30 minutes. Get in, do what you need to do, get out. And never, ever in the first hour of the day or the last hour of the night. Protect those boundaries.
Let's move to section 7. This is a really interesting detour into ADHD, specifically in kids. Dr. Patrick brought up a statistic that made me question everything I know about diagnosis.
The birth month study. This is fascinating and a little concerning.
What is it?
They looked at huge populations of school children and found that boys born in August are 3 times more likely to be diagnosed with ADHD than boys born in September.
And for our international listeners, in the U.S. school system, the cutoff is usually September 1st. So the September kids are the oldest in the class, and the August kids are the youngest.
Exactly. The August boy is almost a full year younger than the September boy sitting next to him. At age 6 or 7, a year of brain development is massive.
It's a huge percentage of their life.
Huge. So the August kid is squirming, can't focus, acts impulsive because he's 6, not because he has a disorder.
But he gets compared to the 7-year-old, labeled as problematic and diagnosed. It raises a huge question. Are we medicating immaturity?
That is the heavy implication.
And Huberman made a point about focus capacity in ADHD that I think applies to adults too. You know, parents often say, my kid can't focus on homework, but he can play Fortnite for 6 hours straight. He's not ADHD, he's just selective.
Right. And Huberman says that complaint actually proves the diagnosis.
How?
The dopamine circuits work. If they were broken, the kid couldn't play Fortnite either. The issue is the threshold for activation. Fortnite provides massive, immediate, loud, colorful dopamine. Homework provides 0 immediate dopamine.
So the ADHD brain has a higher boredom threshold. It needs a much louder signal to engage.
Correct. The prefrontal cortex, the part that says, shh, sit down and do the boring but important thing, is underpowered relative to the impulse-driven parts of the brain.
And this brings us full circle to the aMCC. We need to train that part of the brain, whether you have an ADHD diagnosis or you're just a distracted adult in the modern world.
The solution isn't just more stimulation.
It's training the ability to handle friction.
It's behavioral. Behavioral tools should always be the foundation, even if medication is also used. Diet, sleep, omega-3s, and doing hard things.
So we've covered the biology, the physics of the wave pool, the tools, the pitfalls. Let's bring this all home. Let's synthesize this. What does the perfect dopamine day look like? If we build a protocol from this entire conversation.
Okay, let's build the day. Step 1, you wake up, do not touch your phone.
First rule, don't let the algorithm dictate your morning brain chemistry.
Step 2, get outside. Get sunlight in your eyes for 10 to 15 minutes. This sets the clock.
Step 3, hydrate. Water with a little salt and lemon, maybe.
Step 4, wait 90 minutes before your first cup of coffee. Let that adenosine clear naturally.
Okay, the hard part. Step 5, the work. You sit down to do the thing you've been putting off. You feel the limbic friction. You want to quit.
And you use subjective reframing. You tell yourself, this friction is good, this feeling is my brain growing, I am building my aMCC. You lean into it.
Step 6, you hit a wall in the afternoon, you're tired, your focus is shot.
You do not reach for sugar or another coffee. You do 10 minutes of NSDR, non-sleep deep rest. You lie on the floor and reset the pool.
Step 7, exercise, maybe late afternoon. You train, but you leave a little gas in the tank for your family and for recovery.
Step 8, the evening wind down. You dim the lights to simulate sunset. You avoid the alcohol. You put the phone in another room for the last hour of the day.
And then you sleep, and you do it again.
It sounds so simple when you list it out.
But it's a radical departure from how most of us live. Most of us are living in a way that is scientifically designed to deplete us.
We are bankrupting our own neurochemistry and then wondering why we feel poor.
Before we go, there was one final thought from Huberman that I want to leave everyone with. It was about the aMCC again. He took it to a really philosophical, almost spiritual level.
He did. He speculated that the anterior mid-cingulate cortex, the seat of willpower, might actually be the seat of the will to live.
What does that mean, practically?
Think about what happens when people retire and just stop. They stop solving problems, they stop moving, they stop engaging with friction, they just seek comfort. we often see a very rapid decline in their physical and mental health.
They fade away.
Huberman's hypothesis is that if we stop doing hard things, if we stop sending that signal of, I am overcoming resistance, the brain decides that the organism is no longer needed. The will to persist physically atrophies along with the brain tissue.
So doing the hard thing isn't just about productivity. It's not just about getting the promotion or the six-pack.
No.
It's about signaling to your own biology that you are still in the game, that you want to be here.
It is about vitality. It is the biological equivalent of saying, I am here, I am struggling, therefore I am alive.
That is a powerful place to end.
Yeah.
So that is your challenge, listener. Pick one tool, just one.
Don't try to do it all at once.
Maybe it's just looking at the sky tomorrow morning. Maybe it's trying a 30-second cold shower. Maybe it's just putting the phone away for 1 hour tonight.
Just do one thing you don't want to do. Refill the pool. Just a little.
Thanks for diving deep with us. We'll see you next time.
Take care.